let's set aside this idea of not necessarily knowing what needs to be done and assume that you already know what needs to be done. There will still be people who cannot stick to the plan. Hi everybody, it's Tina with Picture It Personal Finance, where I ask you to picture your goal, plan to achieve it, and enjoy the success. Earlier today, I heard somebody say, "I can't stick to my plan." I'm sure you may have felt that way, so let me tell you what I thought when this person said it. Of course you can stick to your plan, silly. You just have to figure out why you're not sticking with it today. And this is the truth, and this is what we're speaking about in this video. Look, everybody has the opportunity to figure out what it takes to get out of debt, what it takes to build wealth, what it takes to create a budget. The trick is sticking to the plan once you've established it. We're not talking about an emergency. We're talking about somebody who is unable to stick to the written budget that they have for themselves. There are really two reasons why this happens according to my experience. The main reason is that the plan is incomplete. If a person is really gung-ho and has that gazelle intensity, as Dave Ramsey likes to call it, they may go beans and rice strict in their budget to a degree that is something they can't stick with for the long term. This is a sprinter's mentality. This is the crash diet approach. This is the I'm going to go outrageous strict so that I can get ahead very quickly. And this is a great thing to do if you have zero savings and you're just starting out and you need to build an emergency fund. But if you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars of debt, or even for some people over $100,000 of debt, not counting the mortgage, you need to have the mentality of a marathon runner, somebody who's going to stick with it for the long haul. Using the example of the crash diet, you'll go extremely strict, you'll cut out all the foods that you really enjoy, and then after you've hit your goal, you will start to reintroduce those foods, and you'll find that you've now established a yo-yo pattern because you'll go right back to where you were to begin with. In that situation, you really want to account for or plan for the foods that you enjoy throughout your dieting experience. And it's the same thing with a budget. You need to account for fun. If you are a person who really feels strongly that you want to eat out once a pay period, build that into your budget. If you are somebody who really treasures going to the gym or having a pedicure or going bowling, build that into your budget. You will need that there for the long haul. Creating and establishing a personalized budget is about understanding what you really need to have a content life. And let me rephrase that. It's about figuring out what you need to have in terms of your necessities, your clothing, housing, electricity, those type of items. And then also of your desires, your wants, what are those that you prioritize the most highly so that you can keep them in your budget so that you can stick with your budget for the long haul? And then what are the things that you're willing to sacrifice to accomplish a greater good, which would be getting out of debt? When you build a budget that is in consideration of having some fun, having some entertainment, having some wiggle room so that you don't feel like you're starving yourself, for lack of a better metaphor, then you will have greater success. I've seen this with one of my clients, and I've seen this with myself from a dieting perspective. The situation my client was going through and the situation I was experiencing with my diets was the same. We were going extremely strict, and then we were sort of blowing our budgets, whether that's a money budget or a caloric budget, out of the water halfway through the month or halfway through the week, and then deciding, hell, I screwed it up, I'll just start again next month, or I'll just start again on Monday. And this mentality will keep you perpetually in a pattern of starting over. We don't want to start over all the time. You can, but it's better to do something that's realistic from the get-go so that you can hold fast and maintain that and really see that long-term progress. I want that long-term progress for each of you, and I know you are all capable of it. You just need to figure out what are the things that you need to build in to keep you satisfied and keep you content so that you can accomplish that greater objective over time. The first item that we talked about was creating a realistic plan to help you stick with your long-term objective. Remember, you're a marathon runner, not a sprinter. The second item is coping with emotions. So frequently, I have spoken with individuals who have shopped out of boredom, shopped out of anger, shopped out of impatience or frustration, and these are all emotional responses that you can be prepared to cope with, especially boredom. I have recommended in the past creating a leisure list, and I still recommend that. One of the worst emotions that will get people into a world of trouble is hopelessness. I don't have an immediate remedy for hopelessness, but I can tell you that you can always reach for a better feeling thought. I've talked about this in my videos about depression, and I truly believe that every emotion that we feel stems from a thought. If you can isolate the thought that is making you feel that way, you can replace it with what I call a better feeling thought. Thought replacement strategy is completely viable, and there are techniques for this. Figure out what is that trigger that's throwing you off track. Poke around. It might take you a few weeks or a few months even to figure out what's causing you to fall off. For example, I had a friend that she was falling off her budget all the time. And the reason this was happening is because every time that the clique in her neighborhood would go do something and disinclude her, it would make her feel as though she wasn't cool enough, and then she would go and purchase name brand labels for both herself and for her children because she didn't ever want her children to feel that way. So she was spending the money in triplicate really to win over, I would say, or make herself feel better and potentially more enticing as a person to hang out with for people who probably didn't even know that they were putting her through that stress and through that dissatisfaction. Incidentally, this person is amazing. She's one of my all-time favorite people in the world, and it kills me that she feels that way. But that's where, when you are working with a coach or even working by yourself and doing the legwork, you really need to understand, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? And if you've got bad emotions, know that a nasty thought triggered it, or a thought that you have bad memories tied to. Figure those out and look for that better feeling thought so that you can break the pattern. Break the pattern at the thought, and you will break the pattern at the cash register. All right, guys, that's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope you are all having a lovely summer. I wish the best for every one of you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.